Hi creators, welcome back to Academic Phoenix Plus. My name is Monica and I'm your guide through Substance Painter. In this video tutorial, we're going to continue working on this isometric cat cafe, and today I'm going to be showing you how to import textures, how to create plant textures, and so much more. So let's go ahead and get started. But before that, if you're new to this channel, I post tutorials on a weekly basis. Software includes Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and so much more. So if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing. Bring out that creativity, open up that software, and let's go ahead and get started in texturing this isometric cat cafe and getting it ready to export into Maya. Alright, so in the previous tutorials, we modeled this isometric cat cafe, we UV mapped it, we brought it into Substance Painter and started texturing it. So today I'm going to show you more fun things to do in Substance Painter so that we can create a really nice looking cat cafe. So over here I'm going to go to actually just 3D only, just because, you know, it's a little easier to see it. I don't need the 2D version right now. And this time I'm going to work on the brick wall. So in the brick wall, what I had done was that I was actually creating the lines myself. But this time I'm going to import a texture of bricks. So down here I have this, you have to click on walls, right? If I turn it off and on, there we go. And beforehand, I already found some brick textures, which I've put it in my source images. And you can see that I have a normal map, and I have a roughness map, and you know, bricks are pretty simple, so that's really all we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my normal map, my color map, which in this case is called diffuse, and then my roughness map, and just drag it into Substance Painter, and a little window is going to pop up. I see diffuse, roughness. Oop, I forgot normal. Let me drag normal in there. There we go. Easy peasy. And you first have to identify it as a texture. So I'm going to go ahead and define it as a texture. And then down here, it's going to ask me, do you want it to be in your library? That means permanent, or just for this session? And I'm like, yeah, that's just for the session. Import. What's fun about this is that it automatically imports the red bricks for you. So what we can do now is create a shader. So I'm going to go ahead and click a new paint layer. Made everything white, that's okay. And actually, if I want to, I can just go ahead and get rid of, just so you guys can see the effect, right? Turn that off. Turn this one off. And we want to keep that one. And there we go. So with this one, we're definitely going to have to add a black mask. So I'm going to right click, add a black mask. I do need to look at 2D mode here. I'm going to grab this tool. I'm going to make sure it's faces. And then just select the faces. That's kind of hard to see, so let me go back into this texture so I can show you the color. Let's pretend it's red, and you can see that it's only affecting this wall, which is what I want. So now I can go back to my black mask and make sure I select this one. There you go. But of course, we're not going to keep it red. We're going to scroll down here, and we are going to choose normal, and we're also going to turn on roughness. Keep scrolling down, and you can see I have my base color, roughness, and normals. So let's go ahead and grab the diffuse and put it in base color. There it is. We're going to grab the brick and bring it into normal. And then we're going to grab the roughness and drag it in. And that's how you can import it. What we can do is scroll up and we can increase the tiling. So for example, maybe I want to increase my tiling by 3. And by changing it to 3 over here, you can see that the texture looks a lot better. So that's easy. It's great. Let's focus on the pour over. This little guy right here. Now, in Maya, this is already a glass shader, but these guys are the ones that I want to work with. The first thing I want to do is work on the wood, and it's kind of like a light wood. So let's go ahead and see if we can find a kind of like a nice light plain wood. Now, I don't want it to be thick lines or anything like that, and I definitely don't want it to be messy. So I'm just kind of dragging the textures in here to see if there's something that I like that will be good for my object, right? So this is kind of like the stylized, but I'm not really looking for that. So I think for this case, I might actually go for just wood plain. And then because it looks like this, I can always try to do the tiling and make it a little smaller so that it reads a little bit better. Now this is made out of leather. The little strip right there, it's made out of leather. So I'm going to type in leather. And we have a variety of leathers. So let's go ahead and see which one is going to be a good fit. I don't want it to be too noisy. I want it to be a little bit in the red. So let's grab that one. I do like this one, but the issue is that I'm not a big fan of the noise. So let's see what we can do about that. And there also looks like there's some sort of texture there. So this is a smart material. So I'm going to open up this folder and then I can kind of hide things. And there you go. That's the leather. That's the damage. So if you want to keep it, you can kind of play around with it, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Highlighting edges is fine with me. Leather pattern is a little strong. So I'm going to see if I can tile it a bit more and see if I can just make it a little bit more like leather, something like that. Now it's taking over the whole thing. So I'm going to collapse the folder and hopefully you're starting to realize how it works. I can go and create a black mask and then I can grab this little button right here on the left, which is basically select by faces, model, or UVs. I'm going to grab UVs and click on that one. So there we go. Now if this is throwing you off, you can always create your own. Let's see if I can lift this up. And we have a kind of like an opacity right here and you can reduce the opacity. Right? I like to use the roughness so I can play with the roughness so I can make it a little shinier. And again, you can make the transparency all the way or just kind of play around with this. And then you can also change the color if you choose to. I'm just going to choose kind of like a darker-ish gray. So again, I'm not using this shader. It's just there to kind of complete the look. But there you go. That's how you can create the pour over. Now there's no liquid in here. I would have to create the model in Maya. All right, let's work on the bar. This is the bar and shelf. Now the shelf up here, it's going to be a similar texture to this one. So what I can do is take a look at the chair. I can copy this one, Control C, go back to the bar shelf and then paste. Right now, of course, it takes over the whole thing. So I'm going to right click, assign a black mask. And then this time though, I can grab the model. So go ahead and click that and you can grab the model here or you can grab the model here. Gives you the same effect. Let's focus on the bar. I'm interested in making this into like a wood panel. So let's see what type of wood we have that I can potentially use. Oh, cork is cool. I kind of like this paneling, but it is going the wrong way. And it's also very stylized, maybe a little too strong. Let's see the other ones. I want it to be nice and clean. Okay. So I think this is the best one for this choice. And what I'm going to do is add a black mask. And I'm going to grab the model and just kind of click here and that's the model. But I really want it to be more than just this color. So I'm going to select my material. Then I'm actually going to add a new layer. And this one is going to be kind of like the base. Now I have a particular color I want to choose from. So it's going to be a little bit greenish, minty. I can create a black mask. I can select the model. The nice thing about this effect is that I have the color and I'm also getting the grain effect, right? So I'm not getting all those little color designs and things like that, but I do want it to be more solid like that. So now I can create another fill layer. And this time's just going to have a height map. Just like what we did before with the brick, I'm going to go ahead and subtract it. Then I can create a black mask, select it, grab my pen here, and I can go over here to my alpha and type in square until I find a square. I'm gonna make it small. And then I just have to figure out which way it goes. Okay, so that's the way it goes, which is good. Making it a little smaller using my brackets. So left bracket makes it small, right brackets make it big. And then you can hold down Shift, Control Shift, and that will give you a straight line. Now, I'm not going all the way through here because you don't really see it. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a couple more. There's that one. Undo. All right, so that means I can go this way as well. And there you go. You can also go in and add more if you need to. Now, if you want to make the inside a little darker, this is a nice thing about Substance Painter is that I can go back in here. I can turn on color, which makes it white, but I can go ahead and color pick this and I can make it a little darker. So that emphasizes the indentation. Just got to find the right color, something like not too dark. All right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and I'm going to make a folder for this because this is all one piece. So let's create a folder. Let's go ahead and drag these in here and this can collapse. So now I've made my own smart material. So I can go ahead and call this the bar wood. Then let's go ahead and create another one, another fill layer. This one is going to be more of a kind of like a gray blue. And as always, let's add a black mask. Let's grab this fancy tool, and then there we go. We now have this. Now I really want this one to be pretty shiny. So let's go back into here. I want to bring out the roughness, and I don't want it to be rough. I want it to be shiny. Right? So I'm going to reduce the roughness. And I feel like it can be a little darker. You know, you're going to tweak this until your heart's content, I guess. All right, let's work on the espresso machine. Let's go ahead and grab this one, and this is going to be kind of like in the reds, kind of red orangey. And this one has a lot of pieces, so this is going to be the red shader. And then I do want something a little silver-like, so I'm going to open up the Metalness and crank it up. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the roughness and decrease it because I do want this part to be shiny. I am going to add a black mask, grab this one, and I am going to grab the geo, which includes that one, oh, not the one in the back, this one, and this one. So that's going to be the silver. Now I do need something a little dark, so let's go ahead and create another one. This one is going to be in the darker area. This is going to be for the handles. So let's add a black mask. And let's select the candles. Now I feel like the espresso machine should be a little metallic. So I'm going to turn on Metalness and just kind of make sure that it's a little bit more metallic to make it more interesting to look at. Something like that. You can work on color forever. All right, that's coming along. All right, let's work on the plant. Select the plant. Now these are all sharing the same material, right? So if I type in, let's see, plant, there is a skin vegetable that you can use, and it sounds weird to call it skin vegetable, but you do get this kind of like effect, which is nice because it's a good place to start. I do want to rotate it though, so I'm going to go in here and let's see if I can find a way to rotate this. So just like anything else, you can play around with the look of this. So color variation can change, spot density can change, height variation can change. We have channels, technical parameters like luminosity, height, range. And if you scroll up, we can actually rotate this. So I do want to rotate this a little bit, like almost 90 degrees. Now my UVs are pulling, as you can see. So that's the only issue with lines, is that you can really see how your UVs are not perfect, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and create a new fill layer. And let's scroll down, and I do want a height. I want to decrease it a little bit because I'm interested in creating some veins. So let's go ahead and create a black mask. Grab this, and then now I'm still using the alpha that's a square. If you don't want that, we can close this, go to our paintbrushes, and then you can choose something like basic soft, double click, and that will change this. So let's go ahead and reduce the size, and we can draw. Now you can see that I'm a little wiggly because I just had coffee, right? So we can go to lazy mouse right here and increase our distance. And what it does is that it kind of helps drag it a little bit, which is nice because that gives me a little bit more control, right? So I can just go in and bring it all the way down like that. And then we got to grab the shader, and then we're going to change the color to something a little darker. Oh, that's like too dark. Let's try again. I like to pick colors that are provided by the program, so it's a little bit faster and easier, and it fits. Now, if you feel like this is too strong, the nice thing is that you can change it. You can always even make it rise, right? So just a little bit. We just want an introduction of that, and maybe just make this a little lighter so that there is some sort of line. Now, I don't think it should go all the way to the top, so I can always grab my brush again, grab the mask, just then press X, which is going to be black, and then I can just kind of help kind of eat this away. Now, if the lazy mouse is getting in the way, you can just go ahead and do that and get rid of the lazy mouse, and then you can just kind of make sure that this transitions something like that. All right, cool. Now we can use the same skin vegetation and go to my succulent up at the very top and then paste it. Right, so that's all the way up here. All right, let's work on the signage. So, okay, that's the cat cafe sign. I almost panicked. I was like, what the? I cannot UV map like that. It's because it glows and I'm not too worried about it. Okay, let's go to the sign. That made me very nervous. So over here, I do want to use that wood texture that is on the chairs and everything. So let's go ahead and grab the chairs. Let's copy it. I'm still laughing because that almost made me panic. I was like, what was I thinking? Okay, paste it. And here we need something like that's made out of chalk. So I'm going to go in and see if there is a smart material like charcoal and plug it in. Then I'm going to add a black mask. Grab this little tool right here and make sure it's just the face and click here. Now this is a little dark. I can always change it. So for example, I could always go back into charcoal. So that's the damage, and I'm going to keep scrolling down. Usually the base is where the main color is. So I'll go to the base and I can change the color to maybe a lighter charcoal. There we go. So it's coming around. I'm not convinced by the floor. I'm probably going to make it lighter, but since I've already copied this, I'm going to take the scratch post and the cat assets and just do a Control V. And I'm going to clear the black mask, and actually I'm going to remove the mask so it covers everything. But the one that I want something else in here is the cat pillow. So let's see what we can find. Maybe burlap. There is a fabric burlap. Let's see what that looks like. Zoom in here. That's not too bad. And I want to use a black mask. Again, I'm going to select the model and just click here. Oop, just wanted this guy here. I want it to be a little lighter, so I'm going to open this up, and usually if you go down to the bottom, you'll see the base color, and this is where you can change the color. So I want this to be a little warmer. So it kind of fits the scene. Okay, let's grab the windowsill. It's probably in the walls. Yep. And for this one, I think I want a similar color as this green here. So let me go find my bar shelf and grab the bar wood and grab this fill layer. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to the wall and paste it somewhere. There it is. And then I'm going to remove this. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to add the black mask. I'm going to choose mesh and click that. So at least there's a little bit of a rhythm to it. Now it looks like this is white, so I'm going to make sure that my green here, my mask, is picking this one. There we go. Just want to make sure there's nothing weird like that going on. All right, what do you guys think so far? It's looking pretty nice. All right, it's coming along. Let's focus on these containers. So I'm already in containers. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. And this one is just going to be like a dark gray. And the roughness looks good. And for the top, I want it to be, you know, like we have this kind of wooden material. And I want to make sure it continues to be a common thread among all of the items. So let's go to cat assets. And I'm going to collapse this, grab this stylized wood, and go back to the containers and then paste. I'm going to add a black mask. I'm going to grab this tool over here, and this time I want UVs only because I just want this. Now you'll notice that I only grabbed the top because the way I UV mapped it was that the lid is actually part of the body. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to select them. Now, as you can notice, I selected this and I select all the UVs. I don't want that. I want it to just select faces. So I'm going to grab this tool right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the first two rows. It might take me a little bit longer than just UV. So that's something to consider as you're UV mapping, that if you want them to be a separate material, if you think ahead, you can attach this row of UVs to this lid and it would have been a lot faster. I mean, Substance Painter makes this a lot easier, but just in case you want to make it even faster still, then, just keep an eye on how you UV map your items. Let's create a new one. And I'm going to create a black mask. This is going to be my label. So over here in the paintbrush, I'm going to grab my hard basic brush. I'm going to go to my mask here. Make sure you're in the paintbrush. And I still have the square alpha. If you don't see the square alpha there, just go ahead and type in square, and here it is. And what I'm going to do is just click once, hold down shift, click twice, and then I have a label. Now you'll notice that they're looking a little they are moved back and forth and once intersecting the geometry, so I will have to rotate these a little bit more. But I also wanted to show you that you can actually create text on this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. And this one is going to be dark because it's going to be text. So I'm going to go ahead and make this dark. And I'm going to create a black mask. And just like what we used with this, we can actually use text. So over here we have a text button. We have a variety of options that I can choose from. And that's the hardest part, is trying to think which one I'm going to use. Maybe this one. And when you double click on this, again, I'm on my mask. You can see that it shows up here, and I can type in cat cafe coffee, right? So you can see it right there. And then I'll be able to stamp it. Let's make it white, and then you can just click on it. And there you go. Now, if you want some changes, I feel like mine's too small. I'm going to go ahead and maybe press enter here. Center it. You can always play with some other stuff as well, but let's go ahead and make this brush a little bigger. And, oh, that's too big. And then you have the Cat Cafe coffee. Now I do want the label to stick out, so let's go back to the white, and we can add height, and then we can bring this up, and that's gonna feel like the label is higher. Now it's up to you about your roughness, but I do want this to be pretty rough, so let's go ahead and rough up the label. And then we have Cat Cafe Coffee. Now let's say that we want to add some things here as well. Like let's say I have a logo that I want to add. So in this case, this is the sign, not the signage, the sign, because the last one freaked me out. And we're going to add, I'm going to collapse this, and I'm going to add a new layer. And this is going to be a black mask as well. And I already have a logo that looks like this. Black means you can't see it. White means you can. Gonna drag it into Substance Painter. This is going to be an alpha import. It's right there. Then you can use a brush if you wanted to. So for example, instead of using this alpha, I can use this one, which means that it makes it the size of the cup. And then I can stamp it. Oops. Let me go back to my brush here because it thinks I'm still on text. So let me go back here and let me grab a solid brush. So let's go ahead and do a basic brush, and let's make sure that this grayscale is removed. So now it's nice and simple. Now if I type in the cat logo and go to the alphas, there it is. Right? I can go over here. I'm going to drag this into my alpha shape, and then I can stamp it. Right, so let's go ahead and make this a little bigger. Stamp. How cute is that? And just like last time, we're going to need a text. And I'm going to probably duplicate this layer. So let me just select it and do a Control D. I'm going to clear the black mask. You might want to grab a hard brush again. And we can grab maybe, I don't know, let's try this one, I guess. Scroll down. Drag this in the grayscale. There it is. Keep scrolling down. Let's type in menu. Let's make it a little bigger. Menu. Menu. And there you go. So we went over a lot of items today. We actually went through a lot today. We went over how to import your own textures, import your own alphas. We also created our own indentations, created leaves, we created text, we created an espresso machine, and so much more. There's a couple of tweaks I want to make, such as maybe this orange floor can be a little bit warmer because right now it's feeling really dark. So I might go in and just make it warmer. so the whole space feels warmer. But yeah, in the next video tutorial, we're going to be exporting all these materials and import it into Maya and getting a final render. So hopefully you like this tutorial. Let me know by liking it and subscribing. That would be amazing. That would also encourage me to create more tutorials like this. Don't forget to share my channel. If you feel that an artist just like you could use a tutorial about Substance Painter, then please share my videos. That would be amazing. And also take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. There you can find free resources such as ebooks, 3D models, and so much more. So take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm really enjoying this this little cat cafe isometric scene, and I look forward to basically almost completing it, hopefully completing it by in the next tutorial. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.